Hello there, lucky listeners of The Partial Historians. I am one Dr. Radness.
I am Dr. Greenfield.
Wasn't sure if you were going to join me for a second there.
I waited for your sly glance over towards me, and then I coyly introduced myself.
Well done. So please join us today on our continuation of our journey from the founding of the city of Rome until it peters out some few centuries from now.
Yes. I don't own the petering out, I have to admit. But it is something that's going to happen.
Yes. Now, the last time that we left you, I believe that war with the Sabines was looming on Dr. Greenfield's horizon. Once again, the Romans are at war.
Yes, for those who have been listening to this series since the beginning of the founding of the city, the Sabine conflict just knows no bounds. Backwards and forwards.
It is a bit.
It's a maze.
My account in Livy is a little bit briefer.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be taking the stage
than yours.
today.
Yes, because basically Livy sort of gives us the defection of Appius Claudius and his tribe from the Sabines to the Roman side of things as sort of tensions are brewing. And then he kind of just basically says, we crushed them, job done.
On to the next part of history.
Exactly, yeah. And then it will come up again, but it's not quite the showpiece that I think it is in your account.
Yeah,
so please,
look, Dionysius of Halicarnassus has so many details that he feels it's very important for us all to understand.
I'll just kick back and chime in when I can.
Let me paint you a picture.
Please do.
It's around about 504-ish.
Okay.
The consuls are Publius Valerius Publicola. I'm going to run with that pronunciation from now. I'm going to try. It's more challenging for me. Publicola. I'm going to go with that. He's consul for the 4th time.
Nice.
Very fancy.
Indeed.
People like him. He's sharing the consulship with Titus Lucretius.
Okay.
Who was consul for the 2nd time. Mm-hmm. They were previously consuls together in 506.
The romance continues.
The romance is happening. Are these two men trying to be dual kings together?
Oh dear, don't even suggest it. I thought we were into the Republican period now.
I'm just becoming a little bit suspicious with all of these multiple consulships.
Yeah, yes. Well, as we might recall, I believe Valerius was once suspected of designs back in the day.
Yeah, but it's almost like this additional name, this the Publicola name.
Yeah.
Publicola.
Now he's
loved by the people.
Exactly, yeah.
He can do no wrong. Of course he's not after the
kingship. He's a big fluffy teddy bear.
Love that man.
Except in battle, of course.
Wow, yes.
Yeah.
So, let me proceed straight to it then.
Please do.
So, one of the cities that we've been mentioning a little bit in the previous episodes leading up to this one is the city of Fidenae.
Yes, we have.
This is a key outpost in terms of this particular war.
Right.
The Sabines are interested.
Yep.
They're holding the place, and the Romans crop up.
Yeah, because it's quite close to Rome, this place, isn't it?
Well, maybe.
Yeah. I think I looked it up because sometimes my geography is not so great. And I think it's relatively close to Rome.
Our challenges with the ancient mapping.
Yeah, obviously.
Does make it all a little bit questionable.
Yeah.
But it's near-ish.
Yeah, it's not like Naples. It's like...
What?
Yeah.
No, we're not going all the way to Naples.
Yeah.
We're hanging around in the hinterland. Fidenae. So the Sabines rock up and they form 2 camps.
Yeah.
One of them's outside Fidenae, one of them's in Fidenae. They're like, look, we're going to look after this.
We're all over Fidenae.
Fidenae. Sabines are being led by Sextus Tarquinius as their general.
No way! Oh my god.
The horror.
The horror.
The Tarquinii, they just don't know when to die. So
everywhere.
I know. I feel like they should have been done with a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it turns out there's a lot of detail in these early years.
Yes.
Whether you can believe any of it or not.
Yes.
Any case.
Yeah.
Valerius Publicola and Titus Lucretius, they go out.
Right.
And they camp near the Sabines.
Uh-huh.
Publicola out in the open. Lucretius, on a hill looking down, clear view.
So it's good to have high ground.
It's all very nice.
Yeah.
And both sides are thinking about how they're going to ambush the other.
Yeah.
The Sabines have this great plan for a night attack.
Okay.
And they're going to do some interesting things there with some ditches and scaling and whatnot. And the Romans are sort of like, yeah, we could be involved in some ambushes ourselves. So there's some backwards and forwards, like tactical stuff going on.
Right.
And anyway, it's looking great, except that the Sabines unfortunately have a deserter. I know.
I hope it's not a Tarquinius, because I'm just gonna...
An unnamed deserter.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Informs the Romans of the Sabines' plans for this night attack.
Damn it.
And the story is corroborated by this band of Sabine warriors that are captured out and about.
Yeah.
They're brought in and they're like, so what do you know about the plans? And they're like...
We confess.
It's going to be a night attack.
You dragged it out of it.
Let us live. And so everyone, they're like, okay, that's a sure bet. So Publicola lets Lucretius know, because he's camped further away. And he's like, all right, I've got this plan. We've learnt this from the deserters and the prisoners. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for them to attack us at night and then spring a trap. Just you wait.
I feel like there's a good opportunity for a line such as, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Come on.
Exactly, yeah.
Just a little bit closer. I have a present for you.
Boom!
Pretty much. That's pretty much how it goes down. The Romans basically hide themselves all around the edges of their own encampments.
Right.
So they've dug their own ditches around their camp.
Right.
And they're hiding out.
Yeah.
And the Sabines feel like they're fairly confident because they already hold Fidenae. So they're like, look, we just need to destroy this army.
Yeah.
And so the Romans are there behind their palisades in the darkness.
Yeah.
And the Sabines come across and they think they're being all very sneaky and night attackish. And as each wave comes across, the Romans just kill them.
Right. There was no hint that something maybe not going to plan.
Silently kill them.
Right.
Silently kill them.
Well done,
it does
Romans.
take some time
I guess
for the Sabines to find out what's going on.
The only way I can visualise this is that maybe the Romans, okay, let's just pretend that they are able to kill them in total silence, that they somehow, like, what are they, like, throwing them into the ditches behind them or something? Just
they're kind of just piling them up along the edges of the ditches.
Yeah, I can't imagine it happening.
Yeah, wherever there's room, really. So there's apparently...
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Pretty much. The silent death is upon you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that, like, doesn't last forever. They don't achieve it for very long.
Yeah.
There's the darkness of the night before the moon rises.
Okay. Yeah.
Once the moon rises, the Sabines catch a glimpse of a whole bunch of bodies lying around and realise that they're theirs, not Romans.
Hang on a second.
Wait a minute.
Where's Bob? Where's Phil?
Yeah. And once they realise this, that the sneaky nighttime attack has just not fared very well, they basically run away.
Run away.
Yeah.
Well, that's glorious.
Oh, definitely.
This kind of, even though Livy is much briefer, it does kind of tie in with the whole
Wash
attitude.
Your hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, we're not done yet, though.
I know. I never suspected it for a moment.
I mean, the Sabines ran away, but
yes.
back to Fidenae.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Fall back position, guys.
Yeah.
Lucretius, being in on the plan and knowing that this was going to be a night attack, has rocked up with his own armed forces and is chasing down the stragglers of the Sabines who are fleeing.
Yeah.
So, a whole bunch of Sabines are slain. A whole bunch are captured.
Yeah,
and
excellent.
taken.
Yeah, good.
And the camp that the Sabines had set up next to Fidenae is also taken.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's really just Fidenae now that's left.
Yeah.
Stronghold.
And the holdout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fidenae is holding out. A siege happens.
Of course, yeah.
Surprise! It's a war, guys. People are they're very look, we're not going to give in. I mean, it's a problem, sure. They hold out for a little while. But actually, they don't have a lot of supplies, and this is a real problem. So this is not a lengthy siege. It's not a set-piece siege like we've seen in other battles. This is There's
no bridge.
Look, they really just decide to be like, okay, all right, you've got us.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
Come in.
We weren't prepared for this.
Yeah, so the Romans do some particular things.
Yeah.
They order for the most prominent who have been involved in the revolt to be scourged with rods.
That's not good.
Always pleasant.
Yeah.
Put to death inside of everybody. Pretty standard fare.
Yeah.
The rest they allow to live. And they're like, look, not all of you are to blame. I know the Sabines came at you and were like, can we sit in your city?
Yeah.
You can't all be wrong, can you?
And after all, you've seen what we do to people who betray us. So I'm sure you'll behave from now on.
Yeah, and Rome is really interested in sort of covering its back at this point in time. And it's like, there's been a lot of backwards-forwards warfare with the Sabines.
Yeah, and also I wouldn't say that Rome's probably feeling itself in the strongest position it's ever been in.
No, not super confident
no,
right now.
not after everything that's happened.
There's been a few defeats. It's been a problem.
Possibly an occupation, you know.
Yeah. Maybe.
Whatever.
Maybe they hadn't expelled the kings at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? In any case, they decide that the best plan would be to garrison Fidenae with their own troops.
That sounds wise.
Yes. Yeah. Plug that gap.
Yes, exactly.
So that will help, won't it? This will be good. The consuls both get a triumph.
Yes, of course, as happens in Livy, just in a much, as I say, more concise fashion.
So the war is done.
Nice.
Have some triumphs.
Okay.
No, the war is not done.
Oh, damn.
I lied.
Oh, you got me again.
But that concludes 504. As far as Dionysius of Halicarnassus is concerned.
Right, okay, cool. Well, basically, I mean, you know, as we know, I have this much briefer version of what happens with, you know, Rome crushing the Sabines. And then Livy sort of goes off into detail, much more detail, actually, about revolt of certain Latin colonies.
Oh, I'm getting to those.
Okay, I won't bring them up then. But yeah, basically, the whole thing with the Sabines doesn't really rear its head again until a little bit later, when basically he says that the tensions sort of are aroused again with the Sabines when particular Sabine youths are misbehaving. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So basically, during the consulship of Postumius Cominius and Titus Latius. Oh, God, okay. I can do this.
You can.
Titus Latius. There we go. I don't know why that was so hard.
No, I'm not up to them yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's much later that I have this stuff about the Sabines. And basically, he's like, the Sabine youths, they're misbehaving. Interestingly, it seems that their violence is directed towards courtesans at Rome. And
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's during like a time where everyone's having fun, it's public games, la la la. And basically Livy says, this bad behaviour leads to a scuffle. And you could call the scuffle a war, or like a battle. And from this, it seems that maybe war is looming again. And that's really all I got.
That is intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm really quite curious about the courtesans and what has happened there
It's like,
to turn this scuffle into a potential war.
I just love the way Livy says that, like the mob gets involved, scuffles break out. You could call it a battle. It seems to be leading to war.
Tension in
as
the
it
street.
Does. Yeah, exactly.
Conflict over courtesans.
Yeah. So that's basically all I've got when it comes to Sabines, anywhere near the vicinity that you're talking about.
Wow, mine's fascinating.
I think mine's quite a few years down the track, though. So
yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm like, if you've just got a mention of courtesans and scuffles, I just wonder like how in depth mine might be.
Exactly.
I'm really hoping for a long story to that one. But we'll see.
Yes. Anyway, sorry. Continue your war.
The war continues.
Indeed.
It is 503 approximately. We have Publius Postumius Tubertus, consul for the second time, sharing the consulship with Agrippa Menenius Lanitas.
Wow.
Fat Mr. Fancy
I don't think I've heard of him before.
No, consul for the first time.
Thought so.
Yes. And the Sabines, despite the loss at Fidenae, decide that it might be time to make some more incursions into Roman territory.
Why, of course.
With a larger army.
Right. Well, that sounds like a good idea.
Have you considered that the reason why we lost at Fidenae was because we didn't try hard enough?
Maybe we weren't as prepared as we should have been.
Maybe we should have had some more men. Luckily, we can rustle some more up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, they start to proceed into Roman territory.
Yeah.
Advancing towards the walls of Rome, as you do.
Yep.
And the Romans actually suffer a great loss of life in the countryside. So, the shepherds, husbandmen, so forth and so on. Yeah. And this becomes a problem because they all start to fall back.
Yes.
Being like, to the city.
To the walls, yeah.
Guys, something bad is happening outside the city.
Yeah.
Can you let us in, please?
Can my sheep and I reside here for the night?
Yeah, pretty much. So the Sabines attack, and Postumius decides that this is just intolerable.
Yes.
Rouses up some men, whoever he can find,
Yeah.
and immediately marches straight away to rescue the ones that are falling back, the husbandmen and shepherds and the defenseless farm folk.
Good.
Unfortunately, he rushes. It's a bit of a hasty thing.
Oh dear.
Not
a hasty
really.
war is not a good war.
Yes. Less haste, guys.
Yes.
So, I mean, the Sabines are like, oh, he's coming at us with some dudes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we should do? Do a bit of a fallback. Let's do a bit of a fallback. But, like, nodding and winking to each other, going, he has no idea how many dudes we've got. No idea.
This time we've got them.
Just you, right.
Yeah.
And so they're doing the fallback, and they keep fleeing back until they get to a thick of trees where they've got their other dudes hiding.
Clever.
As you do. And then they turn around and face Postumius and his men.
Nice.
And it doesn't go so well for the Romans at that point.
Just imagine.
Yeah, the Sabines sort of get the better of that. At which point, Lanitas, the new consul, is like, I've been organising an army myself.
Nice.
Less hastily.
Yeah. If a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
I've gotten the men together. I've told them about what the situation is, and we've got a time plan, and we've got a schedule, and I'm here to help.
That's why you have a consul.
That's why I have two consuls. Yeah. One of them's like, I just did the thing and I screwed it up. And the other one's like,
I'll hold their attention while you do it properly.
I will save you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lanitas is way more organised. He gets his men down there, and they manage to extract Postumius out of there. And the Sabines are still quite pleased because actually they've won that battle. So they've still got booty and whatnot.
Yeah. Things are looking up.
They are. This leads to some pretty strange discussions though between the Sabines, who are like, so we kind of won that battle. Really.
Does this make us masters of the universe?
Yeah, we feel like we won that battle. And even though we decided to walk away at the end of it because Lanitas turned up, we do feel strongly that we should be in charge of the greater sort of Commonwealth and alliances in this area.
Oh dear. I can see where this is heading.
Not only that, we're pretty sure you should restore the Tarquinii.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You've got to be kidding. Wait, is Sextus still involved in their war effort at this point? Right, of course he is. Of course he is. Yeah. There's always a Tarquin lurking somewhere.
Don't dismiss the Tarquinii until you hear that they're dead. Yep, he's still involved. So the Sabines make this demand that you restore the Tarquinii and you let the Sabines be in charge of the greater Italian area.
Yeah.
The Romans,
of course.
Being...
Let me guess. The Romans went...
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They were like, that's nice, but how about you guys lay down your arms and leave us in charge and we don't restore the Tarquinii?
If history is anything to go by, you won't come out the better in this conflict.
Yeah, look. So negotiations break down.
Right.
Surprise.
Yeah, man.
It's time for war. Surprise.
It seems like it seems to be a trend, even though we don't really believe the whole negotiations with Porsenna's story entirely. It does really seem to be that negotiations are just constantly having a spanner thrown into the works because someone always brings up the freaking Tarquins.
Yeah. Look, it's
spanner,
like this weird catnip into the you want to ruin a conversation, just distraction tactic.
Even if I believe that, okay, this is what's going on right now, as in, the Tarquinii just popping up on the side of every army that the Romans oppose or whatever. I still feel like people would not be so stupid. It's almost like maybe they don't want to negotiate. Maybe they know this is a way that they're just going to get the Romans to go, get out of here! Just take your demands and go elsewhere.
If we do this for long enough, we'll eventually wear them down. Exactly. They'll either restore the Tarquinii, which is what they want, or we'll eventually ruin them because they'll just keep engaging in war that they can't sustain.
Exactly. I suppose, though, if we think about it, it feels like we've been talking about this for a long time. When you think about it, it's still only been a couple of years, I suppose.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. Anyway.
And look, the Tarquinii must be doing some charismatic persuading if this is the extent
really
to which they just keep cropping up in this narrative.
Exiled royalty from a... And yet somehow everyone keeps going, yeah, I'll back that.
They seem seem like a really choice bet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll say this for them. They have persistence.
Maybe they deserve to rule.
Exactly.
With that level of stubbornness, somebody just let them be in charge of something.
Their patriotism is truly touching.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, oh no, don't apologise. It's getting laughable, really.
Yeah.
So, they prepare for war, as you do.
Yep.
They set up near the city of Eretum, which is a city that belongs to the Sabines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The two armies approach each other.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, the Romans are outnumbered, but they have portents on their side.
They have what? Oh, portents. I thought you meant I thought you meant poor tents. And I was like, how is that good for an army to have bad tents?
Yeah, with the powers of poor grandma, we will defeat you.
Sorry. Portents, gotcha.
Portents.
Yeah.
Religious signs.
Gotcha, yeah.
Signs from the other side.
That sounds much more promising, yeah.
Divine signal.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what's involved in these divine signals?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So, it seems that the Romans, when they set up their camp, they set up their javelin-style weapons, their pilae, around the tents. It's part of the palisade process.
Okay.
So, it's part of the defense construction of any camp.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
No, so far, no portent.
Yeah.
And
it's coming
yet. So, all of a sudden, after they've set up the camp, these pilae, flames start to emerge from the tips of the heads. Doesn't really make sense.
Pretty cool. It
yeah,
sounds pretty cool.
Because that's not the wooden part of a pilae.
No.
And yet, here we are. And so, this happens along all of the pilae in the camp, and it lasts for almost the whole night.
Wow. That's pretty spooky.
This is a sign.
Yeah.
This is a sign. And so, how do we decode such a prodigy? Well...
Favourably, I would imagine.
When you're the Romans and you're outnumbered by the Sabines and you don't have much left in your narrative to carry you through, it's going to be a positive sign.
Exactly.
It portends, surprisingly enough, a speedy and brilliant victory. Why? You
I
might
think
ask?
maybe I should have more portents in my life.
Yeah, look, I always look for the favourable signs when the chips are down. Everything yields to fire, and there is nothing that is not consumed by fire. So, if these javelins are on fire, well, and they're the Roman ones.
Maybe that's what you should be using.
Yeah. Go at the enemy with those.
Yeah.
Can't fail.
Well, I must admit, if I had a bunch of Romans coming at me with a bunch of flaming javelins, I think I'd find that rather intimidating.
Yeah, well, as you do.
Yeah.
And so the Romans get a real boost in morale from the prodigy and the reading of it in a positive way.
Of course they do.
Yeah, and so even though the Sabines are much greater in number, the courage that the Romans derive from the prodigy sees them through. Postumius, Mr. Disorganized, earlier on, decides to be much more organized this time to redeem himself.
What have you learned from your lessons? That's the important thing.
Yeah, and so he works with his fellow consul in a tandem attack on the Sabines.
Promising,
yes. And the Sabines are utterly routed.
Oh, thank God.
They all flee, the Romans pursue them, and they capture both the Sabine camps.
Nice.
Yes.
To which they have good tents.
Yeah. So, and this is exciting. And the reason why I wanted to get through this narrative is because this is the point where Dionysius actually explicates the difference, in his view, between the triumph and the ovation.
Now,
I had a purpose in leading you down this path.
Yeah. Now, from what I understand, the triumph is far more grand than the ovation.
Way more grand.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a good reason why we have a triumph and an ovation in this particular instance.
Okay.
And it's because Postumius Tiburtus hasn't been that great this year. He's made some boo-boos. He's had to be saved by his fellow consul.
He has just a tad.
Yeah, so Menenius gets a triumph and Postumius gets an ovation.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And so the details, the distinguishing features as far as Dionysius is concerned between the two is when you have a triumph, you get to ride in on a royal chariot.
Yeah.
Hallow.
Yeah. King for the day, kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah, for a little while.
But
Not really.
but not king, you know.
Yeah.
Careful.
He's good to pretend.
Don't say the word Rex. For an ovation, you enter the city on foot.
Yes.
So, no wheels for you.
Yeah.
Haven't been that good.
No.
You've been
You
alright.
have to walk, young man.
You still got some stuff ahead of you.
Exactly, yeah.
For a triumph, you get to wear the embroidered purple gown with the gold.
Yeah, I don't think you get to do that for innovation, do you?
No, you do have to wear your white toga with your purple border.
Yeah.
Which
much
is...
less fancy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same toga that a consul or a praetor is allowed to wear.
Well, yeah, but you're already a consul, so big whoop.
Yeah.
That's what I normally wear.
Congratulations. Yeah. Not only are you walking around the city, which is what you would normally do, you're still wearing the same clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah, so is an ovation offensive? Well, just you wait.
Yeah. So than nothing, I suppose.
Yeah, so you're in a triumph, you've got your royal chariot, you're wearing your gold toga with your gold, like the purple toga with the gold embroidery. It's very nice.
Yes.
You get to wear a gold crown.
Now, with an ovation, you get to wear like a wreath, don't you? Just like a laurel wreath?
It is.
Yeah.
A laurel wreath.
Yeah.
So, also less exciting.
Yeah. Not as sparkly.
Not as amazing.
No.
And as the person engaging in the triumph, you also get to carry a scepter.
Ooh, that sounds kingly.
Yes.
Just a little.
For an ovation, no scepter. No scepter.
No scepter for you.
So really your only distinguishing feature for an ovation...
It's really just a laurel wreath.
Yeah. Well, is the laurel wreath and the fact that you're actually, like, there's a parade happening around you while that's doing it.
Yeah,
because, like,
true.
people are celebrating.
It's not like you're literally just walking around the city going, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Have you seen my wreath?
Yeah. You know what this means.
I really get to wear it today.
Yeah.
But, pretty cool ride. Guys.
So do you think that this is, since there is so much more detail about this in Dionysius, do you think his purpose of going into this much detail is so that he can explain the difference between innovation and
Well, yeah, he starts to build in more excursuses from this point. Excursi? More asides into his narrative, talking about his own historical method from this point. And so talking about like what sort of details he thinks is relevant, what he thinks a historian should be doing, what is the purpose as a historian.
And I suppose this is where I suppose you can really see that perhaps cultural difference. I can't talk today, between Dionysius and Livy a little bit, in that Livy, being a Roman source, perhaps doesn't always feel the need, he does explain the origins of things sometimes, but do you think maybe there's more of a need in Dionysius to explain what's happening? Yeah,
well, ideally Dionysius is writing in Greek, and his audience is not Roman necessarily.
Yeah. Obviously
there will be Roman readers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he is also writing in Greek.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe there's a little bit more drive to explain the Roman customs, perhaps?
Yeah, and trying to understand how the Romans become the way that they are in his own period.
Yeah, I mean, Livy certainly does explain, our custom came from this or this came from that and that sort of thing, but perhaps just not as relentlessly, because there's a certain amount, I suppose, of assumed knowledge, perhaps. Or maybe, I don't know, I'm just going off the top of my
And of
head.
course there's the different source traditions, like what is Dionysius reading in order to write this. And actually in the lead into this discussion of the ovation versus the triumph, he does actually name drop another historian, Licinius Massa, as part of his reference.
Yeah, okay.
He doesn't do it very often, but for this...
Unfortunately, none of our sources do.
No, they're not quite as clear on their source material as we'd like them to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But he does name drop Massa here.
Okay.
Which I think is relevant in terms of, like, he's trying to give more credibility to the sorts of details he's providing about this particular distinction between the ovation and the triumph.
Absolutely, yeah. So it could just be that he had more access to...
He's either got access to different source material or he's prioritising different sources.
Sure, yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, well, do you think pause there?
I think this is a great spot to pause.
Excellent, okay. Well, stay tuned for more exciting conflicts. Perhaps not against the Sabines.
What?
I know.
What?
Next
Are you telling me that war is over?
I might just be a little bit. Yeah. All right. If you did enjoy this episode, please don't forget to rate us on iTunes, drop us a line on Twitter, visit Facebook, or stop by our WordPress page.
Ooh.